Now, this week's review is about The Tempest and not The Tempest. The Tempest originally was written by Shakespeare, very classical play. I personally am not acquainted with it. I know other Shakespeare plays, so this review is just going to be my naked eye on what I saw on April 29th and 30th. Now, this production was a BCC Theatre Arts portfolio production, and it was devised by Theatre Arts coordinator Michelle Hinkson Cox. This entire production was comprised not only of students who acted, but also students who were also doing their exam for technicals, because you have a choice, coming down to the end, you can either act, or you can either go and do stage management, you can do lighting, you can do sound, you can do makeup. It's fantastic. So seeing that this is going to be a short review, I'm not going to be able to talk about every single thing that I enjoyed, but please note that you guys did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed the play. Kudos to Michelle Cox for bringing some Bajanisms into this play so that it could be more relatable for those students who are going to be taking CXC or GCSE or any of the other letters of the alphabet examinations that are coming up.
For me, the process of getting into character for Ariel, I guess it was just getting back into, because I used to do gymnastics when I was younger, but I haven't been doing that for a while. So when I started back flipping, it was I'd feel like an old man, like I'd break up. So that was one of the hardest parts about it.
And I thought that it was really well done and really well focused. So let me get to it. When I first came to the space, I was very impressed, because if you usually go to Morningside, which is at the back of BCC, we usually have some open mics down there with poetry line that happens every month. Usually you are facing on the inside of the space. What Mrs. Cox did is that she turned it 180 and put the stage on the outside of the space, so the audience was on the inside watching the Tempest on the outside, and I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a fantastic idea, because the Tempest deals with nature and the elements and earthy things, and it was very easy to see how that concept came about in terms of how the actors were moving on the stage, how they were interacting within the story, and I thought that was fantastic because they were actually in the elements. So let's start with what I liked. Number one, space. I really enjoyed the use of space. They did not do a traditional inside theater space with, tables and chairs and all that other stuff. They were actually on the outside of the studio, which was kind of interesting because I don't think it has ever been done before. I'll stand corrected, but because they had to stay on the outside, it actually helped with the aesthetic of what the play was about, the battle against man and nature and all of the otherworldly activities that were happening around us. You could actually hear the mahogany trees, their leaves shaking as the play went on, and it added a kind of otherworldly element which I thoroughly enjoyed. Number two, acting. Now, there are various people that I want to shout out, but I'm trying to truncate this, so if I do not say your name, don't feel bad. This is just what stood out to me. The first two characters we meet are the devil and the shaggy bear. Caliban, the devil, was played by Noel Williams, and Ariel, who was a shaggy bear, was being played by Tariq Linton. They did a fantastic job, I thought, in terms of bringing those characters to life. What I did enjoy was Ariel. I think that what his character did actually, goes with his name. He did a lot of acrobatics as a shaggy bear, and I thought that was really interesting in terms of bringing that spiritual side of the story to come to life. And there was a really big mahogany tree literally in the center of the play, and they were able to put Ariel in different pivotal points around the stage. He climbed the tree, he swung from the limbs, he hid in it to listen to different types of conversations. His acrobatics were fantastic. And also I have to big up his counterpart, Caliban, who was the devil. I believe that Noel did a really good job in terms of bringing his character to life. Even though I might not be able to call out every single person who was on that stage that night, please note that everybody did a fantastic job, and these are some of the people who stood out most in my view. Gonzalo, played by Kyle Cozier.
I'm attracted to your character, obviously, because of the dynamic that you brought on stage.
You have to thank her, not me, because I didn't want to do it. Well, from what I read, the character had seemed to be a very optimistic kiss ass. That was mainly what I got from him. And so the neck and my movement came in the warm-ups. And it was honestly just fooling around when I did my first walk towards my king. And then Miss Cox was like, oh, wait, Kyle, no, don't straight here and that. What did you just do? Go back, do it again. But ma'am, that hurting. Mainly my neck and just my bodily movements transition into the character, and then with my optimism, that was Gonzalo.
And of course, Nala, Matthew Kupakwashe Murrell, and Levi King. They were not students, however, they were guest actors to help pull the play all together, but they are veterans and I have to at least mention them. And of course, Prospero Nala, who is a long-time veteran in the theater arts community. Now, what did I like about the acting? There was a relationship between the tricksters, Ariel and Caliban, who were more or less imprisoned on this island by good old Prospero, who was actually the Tempest. Caliban hid in the shadows of the play. What was kind of interesting for me was that going to a play, traditional type of play, you tend to see more light than was within this one, and I was kind of concerned at first when I saw the beginnings of the play. But as it continued, I actually loved how it all came together. The devil was able to go in the shadows where certain scenes were being played, and he had to be quite elusive. There were times that I actually forgot that he was on the stage until there was movement given by him. I was like, oh shoot, the guy is still there behind the tree in the dark. But the darkness of his skin, which actually glistened at strategic points where he was, the directorial decisions were good in that the use of space for the devil complemented the darkness of the space. I really did enjoy Nala's presence on the stage, and I think that's because it came from my experience. Nala is no stranger to the stage or film for that matter. He is an absolute veteran when it comes to pulling characters apart, studying them and pulling them all back together. Every scene was a different dynamic, and I saw a story arc in terms of his choices made throughout the play. I do believe Prospero and Miranda, played by Sky Lambert, Nala helped Sky in certain moments because there were levels of intensity that came on stage when Nala was with her versus when she was alone. I think she was able to feed off of his energy considering he's so experienced, and it would be kind of hard as an actress not to want to pull yourself up and go to his level or try to be better. There were good choices by Kyle Cozier as well, who played Gonzalo. He was one of the king's knights after the prince got lost after the shipwreck. In terms of morphing into a different type of person altogether for a student, I do believe that that was a fantastic choice in terms of how he dropped his shoulders. He found things that were quirky and different and was able to manipulate them and project them onto the stage. Even though his character Gonzalo was kinda weird, maybe a lot weird, very reserved in some aspects, there was a moment when the knights came to kill him and the king under the tree, and when they awoke suddenly, Gonzalo actually picked up that something was wrong, and he turned from being so inward of himself and he dropped his shoulders into a stance to defend his king, and then he went back after everything was safe and quiet again. Number 3, the use of language. I think that the idea and the concept of having cultural identity written within the pages of something that is classical and at times colonial was a fantastic attempt by Michelle. There were topics on the hierarchy of parenting between Prospero and Miranda. There was a respectability of politics between the king, the prince, and the kingsman, and how there was absolutely no respect for the king by said kingsman, and they actually wanted to kill him in his sleep. And of course, there was the flirtatious Ovia, which was the through line of action throughout the entire play. The way in which the Afro-Caribbean heart beats very strongly from our ancestors. The use of nature in our lives to make decisions or to get direction. There was the idea of playing with the devil at night, being smart to fight for your own freedom and how to fight for your own freedom. Congrats to all involved. Thanks for listening and watching the review of The Tempest by Gine On magazine. If you have any questions for us, you can always hit us up at our email address, GineOn@gmail.com, to find out more about what we do, add space, or anything else that you might have a question or query about. My name is Empress Zingha, and I'll be seeing you somewhere sometime soon. Well, Gine On!